This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today's Wednesday, November the 20th, 2024. So glad you could join us here today. Coming up, we'll talk with Sam Trainor of agmarket.net to find out what happened in the markets today in the closing market recap. But first, we had a chance to talk with EPA's Venus Welch-White. She's in charge of their ORA office, Agricultural and Agricultural Rural Affairs. All that coming up, talking about different topics, whether it's endangered species, ethanol blending, or much more. Here's what she had to say. Talking with Venus Welch-White from the EPA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for talking with us here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So we got a lot of things I know that EPA is doing in regards to agriculture. And let's go ahead and start with Endangered Species Acts. I mean, there's a lot of concerns about that. There's a lot of animals, plants, whatever around you that we have to be aware of when we're out there farming. Tell us a little bit about where things are going there.
Well, we've definitely want to make sure that farmers have tools in the toolbox. It is very important here at EPA to make sure that we are both following the law as well as the science. And so the administration, and that includes career leadership as well, is committed to make sure that farmers continue to have the tools in the toolbox that they need. ESA, we have not been complying with the ESA, and a lot of the decisions that have and actions that the EPA has taken is really in direct correlation and response to the court mandates. And so it's really important to make sure that the agency is back in the driver's seat and not the courts.
And so how do we do that? And how do we work with the farmers to make sure that everything is done according to what needs to be done and the farmers have the tools they need?
Well, there's been a series of actions that the agency has taken to make sure that we are on the right track. We released a herbicide strategy back in August of this year. We also had several draft strategies, including but not limited to the rodenticide strategy, the insecticide strategy, as well as a vulnerable species pilot program. And again, these are just all examples of the agency taking some very concerted and very intentional efforts to make sure that farmers continue to have the resources and the tools that they need to put food on the table.
And before we go much further, I mean, you can speak to a lot of this and understand it because of the fact you got your honorary Iowa card. you did some time there in Iowa. You did your internship there, as you were telling me off camera. So you have an understanding of what happens in the ag industry.
So greetings to my fellow Iowans. I have the unique designation to have been gifted a honorary Iowan from Secretary Mike Nigg, who is a very good friend of mine. I actually had the opportunity to intern with Pioneer Hybrid, now Corteva, when I was an undergrad student. So I got a chance to work on soybeans in Iowa, and not just for one summer, too. I was actually there. I spent 3 summers working for Pioneer Hybrid, and it was a really important part of, I would say, my educational background. I also spent time, I was in FFA when I was in high school. So I'm an ag girl, always been an ag girl. Still have my very hot corduroy jacket because when you're from Florida, it is hot in Florida. And so just really understand some of the issues that farmers are facing. Recognize that, again, farmers are really, they're really the first stewards of the environment. And we recognize that at EPA.
And I definitely think that can also put farmers' minds at ease, knowing that there are people there that understand agriculture. It's not just bureaucracy and cabinet appointees or whatever. It's people that understand it and are trying to make that work, have a mesh between protecting the environment and making sure farmers can do their job. Now, moving on to other ag industries, obviously renewable fuel standard, biofuels policy. Those are some things that we're looking at in the future. There's talking about, sustainable aviation fuel, all these things that we can do. So what is the EPA doing to help farmers and make these things work so they can be beneficial for those farmers?
Well, I will say that the administrator, when he first took office, back in 2021, one of his key objectives was really to get the RFS program back on track. it had just not been in the space where it needed to be. Farmers did not have certainty. There were obviously, lags in the standpoint of some of the volumes. And for the first time ever, there was volumes that were set for 3 years. And that's the first time that has happened. So there is certainty on the volumes. And so farmers know what to expect. The biofuels stakeholders know what to expect. There's a lot that goes into the biofuel space. And I'm probably preaching to the choir. There's a lot that has to happen from a supply chain to make sure that fuel actually makes it to the terminals and to the vehicles that it needs to fuel. So because we've taken those steps, and because there's routine and active engagement with farmers. So again, we hear from stakeholders on a regular basis. We work very closely with our program offices to make sure that those equities and those concerns and those needs, they're not falling on deaf ears. And so our office plays a critical role in making sure that, again, farmers have a seat at the table, that their concerns are met. And again, these concerns are not lost on us. I personally understand production. Yep. I personally have been in a combine. I've seen these things. I understand what we're talking about. I've been in soybean fields. I understand all of these things, crushing facilities, the whole 9 yards. We recognize that, in fact, these issues are not foreign to EPA and to our office.
All right. Next thing we want to talk about here to wrap up today, Rural Communities Federal Advisory Committee. Tell us what that is. That is a lot of FRRCC. I'm getting there.
It is. The Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities Federal Advisory Committee, it is actually one of 24 federal advisory committees at EPA. Mm-hmm. It has been a longstanding Federal Advisory Committee. It's actually been in existence for about 15 years. And we're pleased that as of yesterday, the administrator announced 24 new members, and that included 18 brand new members and then 6 returning members. Our good friend Bill Kauser of Iowa was reappointed, so congratulations to him. He has been definitely a valuable member of the FRCC, and we look forward to continuing engagement. The FRCC provides independent policy recommendations to the administrator of EPA. Folks are appointed for their 2 or 3 year terms, and they have a chance to provide recommendations and guidance, as well as education on a host of all things that happen within the EPA landscape. They've been a very productive and a very robust, meaningful contributor to EPA. Earlier this year, they made recommendations, and so some of those recommendations were actually implemented. And then just a few months ago, they met, and so there's actually a second tranche of recommendations that also the administrator acknowledged and recognized even to yesterday with the announcement. So we just look forward to them continuing to be a viable part of EPA, and look forward to those recommendations and getting the new committee up and running. So congratulations to all the new FRCC members. We look forward to working with you.
All right. Any final thoughts you want to share with our Iowa producers?
Just know that you have somebody here at EPA in headquarters that understands your concerns. Our office, the newly established Office of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, really is the commitment for the administration to make sure that agriculture continues to have a seat at the table. Our office is always open. My door is open. If we can be of assistance, or please let us know. We have also 10 regional ag advisors, so 1 in every region, and we work very closely within our office. But just know that we're expanding engagement opportunities. We also do farm visits. If you are here visiting, not here because I guess we're in Kansas City, but if you happen to be in Washington, D.C. for fly-ins, please know that our door is open. If there are concerns that you need, we're here, and we look forward to a continued partnership with each of you in the great state of Iowa. So thank you.
All right, this is Venus Welch-White with headquarters EPA here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. And that again was EPA's Venus Welch-White. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we'll talk with Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman, being joined right now with Sam Trainor of agmarket.net as we go through the closing numbers. Sam, what did we see come out of that grain market today?
It was a little bit of a mixed bag today, Dustin. Corn and wheat were both higher and soybeans were lower. We did see some export sales for soybeans this morning, and they were able to bounce off of their lows of the day, which was nice to see. There was some key support levels that we didn't want to close below because that could lead to a more aggressive sell-off. So the fact that we were able to come back a little bit and close above that support there. Looking at the March futures contract around 996. That's kind of an important area for us to stay above here at this point in the game.
All right, and I know that corn was a little lower to start the day, but that support obviously good news. I mean, is there anything else that we're really watching? I know harvest is practically all but wrapped up here. Still watching what's happening in South America. Is there any other major market movers out there that we're kind of keeping an eye on?
Right now, it seems that the wheat market is being supported by the tensions in the Black Sea region, with Ukraine launching missiles into Russia via the use of U.S. long-range missiles that were approved from the Biden administration here earlier this week. So seeing that has definitely given the wheat market a little bit of strength, and the corn market was able to follow through on that strength from the wheat market. So keep an eye on the things that you mentioned, of course, exports and South American weather. But the Black Sea war tensions are also something to keep an eye on here as we move forward.
All right, moving over to the livestock side of things, how did the cattle and hogs fare?
So it was another good day for the feeder cattle and hogs. Live cattle were down just a little bit, but the feeders continue to be the leader to the upside here. 4 consecutive days of stronger closes there in the feeder cattle market. And we're getting back above the prices that we saw towards the end of August, or excuse me, end of July, early August there when we had the sharp sell-off. We're getting back to those levels here. Again, really nice to see this climb in prices here at this time of the year. Definitely not a bad idea to put some protection in place, like I've been saying here for a while now. I know can't seem to keep a good dog down here in the feeder cattle market. That's for sure.
Anything out of the hogs that really stood out today?
Nothing in particular. Another higher close here, up almost $1 today in the December contract. One thing kind of keeping an eye on, though, the 10-day moving average, that's kind of been serving as support and resistance along the way, and got right up against that today and then closed below it. So watch for that to act as a little bit of resistance here until we're able to close above that.
All right. Well, if folks want to talk about their market strategies, things they should be thinking about, what's the best way for them to get in touch with agmarket.net?
Easiest way would be to visit our website at agmarket.net or give us a call here in Normal at 1-800-779-1515.
All right, Sam, we thank you so much for the insight, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, Dustin. Have a good day.
And that again was Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at the closing numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen. December corn up 3 at $4.30 and a quarter. January beans down 8 cents at $9.90 and a half. Soy meal up 80 cents at $2.89.40. Soy oil down $1.56 at $43.28. Chicago wheat up 2 3/4 at $5.52 and a half. Kansas wheat up 3 1/2 at $5.61 3/4. At press time, Minneapolis wheat still had not given us the final number. They're up 3 3/4 at $5.90 and a half. Oats were unchanged at $3.44 3/4. On the Merck, December live cattle down 27 cents at $186.30. Feeders up 32 cents at $252.32. Lean hogs up 97 cents at $80.52. Pork cutouts unchanged at $90.35. Class 3 milk up 21 cents at $19.17. And that's been our market recap, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, and our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified each time we put out a new video project. Also, don't forget about the Free Market Podcast coming out 3 times a day to your mobile device. Mornings, middays, and closing reports and analysis. Get free of charge from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. From the ARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith, Andy Peterson, and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.